They called him the Grinder for a reason, but this year that nickname hit different. What was once just a solid poker rep turned into something unreal. He didn't just win, he dominated, stunned the pros.
It's an ace! Oh, mama! The river is the ace of spades!
And completely flipped the script on what it means to control the felt. Legends were left speechless. Records dropped like flies, and tournament after tournament fell at his feet. So what really went down this summer? How did one man shake the entire poker world?
That's all it would take. And it's over!
This is the story of the Grinder, and one of the wildest runs the game has ever witnessed. Michael Mizrachi's story kicks off in sunny Miami, Florida, where he was born in 1981 into a close-knit family that seemed built for competition. Growing up in North Miami Beach, life in the Mizrachi household was anything but quiet. It was packed with games, challenges, and a whole lot of sibling rivalry. Michael had his fraternal twin, Eric, and his older brother, Robert, right there in the mix, always pushing each other, whether it was in sports or during intense family poker nights. But Robert wasn't just the older brother, he was already deep into the poker world as a pro. And it was Robert who first introduced Michael to the game, sparking a passion that would eventually become his life's calling. Michael originally dreamed of becoming a doctor, but once he realized he could make real money playing cards, that plan went out the window. He left college behind to fully commit to poker. His first gig in the scene was as a dealer, grinding away in the low-limit poker rooms of Florida. These rooms existed thanks to a loophole in the law that only allowed bets of up to $2, a far cry from the wild high-stakes games he would one day dominate. With no legal high-stakes games in the state, Robert pointed Michael toward online poker. That's where he got his real education. He started at $5 and $10. Hold'em, and eventually climbed his way to the ultra-competitive $100. $200 tables on PokerStars, holding his own against some of the best in the world. Once Michael started hitting the live poker scene, things moved fast, really fast. He made his tournament debut in 2004 with a final table finish in a 500 no-limit event at Foxwoods, then followed it up with a deep run at the WSOP and a $21,000 score at the Bellagio that gave him a serious confidence boost. By the end of that year, he'd already racked up over $350,000. But 2005, that's when he truly exploded onto the scene. He made the final table at the World Poker Open, then turned heads by winning the LA Poker Classic for a massive $1.86 million. And he wasn't slowing down. In Season 4, he made another final table in Tunica, and then crushed it at the Borgata, pocketing $1.17 million and even driving off in a Cadillac Escalade. But despite all the success, one thing still eluded him: a World Series of Poker bracelet. In 2008, he came heartbreakingly close, leading the final table of the $10,000 pot limit Omaha World Championship. But in the end, he had to settle for third. It was a frustrating miss, but it only fueled his desire to come back stronger. Then came a rough patch, off the felt. In May 2010, Mizrachi ran into major tax trouble. The IRS seized and auctioned off one of his Florida properties to help cover an unpaid tax bill of $339,711. His lawyer explained that Michael had lost over $600,000 in real estate investments, and during the years in question, had made $6.1 million in live tournament winnings, but $3.7 million of that had gone back to investors who had backed his action. Michael didn't sugarcoat it. He admitted his former accountant wasn't doing the job and said he had a new one working to sort things out. He knew the rumors were swirling. Some people thought he was broke, but he didn't let that noise slow him down. Instead, just weeks later, he showed up at the World Series of Poker for the $50,000 Players Championship, the first time this prestigious event was held, and it was there, against all odds, that everything changed for him. The 2010 World Series of Poker $50,000 Players Championship wasn't just another high-stakes poker tournament. It was a full-blown, 5-day poker war featuring 116 of the world's best players. And when it finally boiled down to the last two contenders, it was almost 4 in the morning. The final table had stretched a brutal 14 hours, but the intensity never let up. The final table wasn't just stacked with poker talent. It was a reunion of familiar faces. Names like Mike "The Mouth" Matusam, David Chino Ream, and J.C. Tran were all battling it out. But for Mizrachi, The most meaningful presence was his brother, Robert Mizrachi. In an unexpected twist, Robert started the final table as the chip leader, looking poised to take the whole thing. But poker doesn't play favorites, not even with family. Michael ended up knocking his brother out in 5th place. When Queen Jack overcame Robert's ace-10, Robert still walked away with over $340,000, but it was bittersweet. He was proud of Michael, sure, but he admitted he didn't play his best and couldn't help wondering, what if? But even with the momentum from his brother's chips, Mizrachi was far from safe. Shmelev soon eliminated poker pro John Wanda with pocket tens, putting Mizrachi in a tough spot. Three-handed, he was sitting on just 1 million chips, while David Oppenheim had 9 million, and Shmelev had 7 million. It looked like curtains. Then Mizrachi went into full beast mode. For the next few hours, he absolutely dominated, snatching up nearly 2 out of every 3 pots, like it was nothing. The comeback hit a high point when he shoved all in with King-Queen against Oppenheim's pocket eights. It was a tight spot until a queen landed on the river, flipping the hand and flipping the momentum right back in his favor. Then came the final hand. Michael had Queen 5 up against Vladimir Shmelev's Queen 8. Things looked shaky until the turn. A 5 hit the board, turning the whole thing on its head and sealing the win for Mizrachi in true dramatic fashion, who walked away with his first ever World Series of Poker bracelet and a massive $1,559,046 payday. But Mizrachi wasn't done, not even close. His 2010 heater didn't stop at the Players' Championship. That summer, he went on an absolute tear at the WSOP, cashing 5 times, making 3 final tables, and then doing something truly historic. He made it to the final table of the main event, coming in 7th with 14 million chips. He joined the November 9 under poker's brightest spotlight, with a real shot at that massive 8.9 million top prize. In the end, he finished 5th, but still walked away with a cool $2.3 million and lit up the table with his signature energy. No wonder ESPN's Norman Chad dubbed it the Year of the Grinder. Mizrachi earned his nickname not by playing conservative, grinded-out poker like most grinders are known for. Instead, he played aggressively, unpredictably, and with the kind of versatility that let him dominate across multiple formats. Texas Hold'em, Omaha, Stud, you name it. He was one of the best short stack players in the game. Always dangerous, always fighting. In 2011, Michael added another jewel to his growing poker crown, this time across the Atlantic. At the World Series of Poker Europe in Cannes, France, he dominated the €10,400 no-limit Hold'em event, walking away with his second bracelet and €336,008. But that was just the beginning of a hot streak that would take him straight into the poker history books. The very next year, Mizrachi returned to Las Vegas and entered the $50,000 Poker Players Championship, a tournament considered by many as the true test of a poker player's all-around skill. And once again, he crushed it. Outlasting a stacked field of 108. Of the world's toughest players, Mizrachi snagged his 3rd WSOP bracelet and a jaw-dropping $1,451,527 in prize money. But more than the money, he made history, becoming the first player ever to win the $50,000 Poker Players Championship twice. In 2013, Mizrachi kept the momentum rolling. He headed over to WSOP Africa and the $3,300 main event, adding another $101,267 to his growing stack of winnings. Then came 2018, and once again, Mizrachi made history at the Poker Players Championship. The final showdown? It came down to Mizrachi and fellow poker legend John Hennigan. Blinds were at 50,000 to 100,000, and Mizrachi was sitting pretty with a towering 15.7 million chip stack. Hennigan, on the other hand, was fighting from behind with just over 6 million. Mizrachi opened the hand to 225,000 with 9 of hearts and 8 of hearts. Hennigan 3-bet to 750,000 holding Jack of diamonds and 10 of clubs. Mizrachi called. The flop came 9 of spades, Queen of hearts, and 5 of hearts. Mizrachi hit middle pair and had a flush draw. Hennigan had an open-ended straight draw. Hennigan bet 700,000. Mizrachi shoved all in. Hannigan snap called. The turn? Boom. 10 of hearts. That gave Mizrachi the flush and all but sealed the deal. Just like that, he locked up his third Poker Players Championship title and a $1.24 million payday. Winning it once is massive, twice, legendary. But 3 times, that's straight up unheard of. Nobody else has ever pulled that off. And guess what? He still wasn't done. In 2019, Mizrachi snagged his 5th WSOP bracelet by winning event number 27, 1,507 card stud high-low 8 or better. He battled through a field of 460 players and walked away with another $142,801. That made him the first player since 2010 to hit 5 bracelets. But then came 2025, and the grinder went on an absolute tear, putting together what might just be the greatest one-year run the WSOP has ever seen. First, he dominated the $50,000 buy-in Poker Players Championship, PPC, a grueling mixed-game showdown that draws only the most elite players. With 9 different game formats, the PPC tests every corner of a player's skill set, and Mizrachi absolutely crushed it, again. On June 28th, he snagged his 4th PPC title, bagging $1.331 million and adding to previous wins in 2010, 2012, and 2018. That alone would have been legendary. But then Mizrachi pulled off the unthinkable. He went on to win the main event too. That's right, the crown jewel of poker, the $10,000 no-limit Texas Hold'em freeze-out that saw a jaw-dropping 9,735 entries this year. Things got especially wild on day 8, when Mizrachi was down to just 3 big blinds. Most players would have been toast, but not the grinder. He clawed his way back, chip by chip, all the way to the final table. By the time heads-up play began, he held a towering chip lead, $491 million, to amateur John Wozniak's $93.5 million. But Wozniak wasn't ready to roll over. Early on, he struck back, landing trips and outplaying Mizrachi with a series of clever raises. He even climbed back above the 100 million mark. For a moment, it looked like we might have a real battle. Then came the turning point. Mizrachi landed a straight on the river, tossed in a 35 million chip bet, and Wozniak, holding only a pair of kings, called. Just like that, Wozniak tumbled back down to 48 million chips. A few hands later, he caught Mizrachi bluffing and won some chips back, but it wasn't enough. On the 79th hand of the final table, and the 18th of their heads-up duel, Wozniak opened for 5 million. Mizrachi defended his big blind. After a quiet ace-high flop, Wozniak bet 10 million on the turn. That's when Mizrachi stood up, waved to his cheering section, and raised to 30 million. Wozniak instantly shoved all in for 70.5 million, and Mizrachi snap-called. Wozniak had 2 pair, aces and nines, but Mizrachi flipped over the 10 of clubs. He'd made a flush on the turn. Only a full house could save Wozniak, but the river brought a meaningless 5. That was it. As the final card hit the felt, the room erupted. Michael Mizrachi had done it, crowned the 2025 WSOP main event champ, pocketing a massive $10 million and locking in his 8th gold bracelet. His win wasn't just historic, it was dominant. The final table wrapped up in a record-smashing 120 hands, the fewest since the poker boom began. Mizrachi had promised to make it quick, and that's exactly what he did. In fact, his summer performance was so legendary that Poker Hall of Famers like Daniel Negreanu and Phil Hellmuth pushed for something unprecedented, an immediate Hall of Fame induction. Even though the 2025 inductee had already been chosen, WSOP Vice President Jack Effel agreed. Backed by giants like Phil Ivey, Brian Rast, Eli Alezra, John Hennigan, and Jen Harmon, Mizrachi was officially welcomed into the Poker Hall of Fame on the spot, skipping the usual vote entirely. With a 2-decade career already stacked with accolades, Mizrachi didn't just cement his status as one of the best, he became a poker immortal.